What's going on, everybody in YouTube land? I am going to make a review of the Korn's 20 Years of Follow the Leader. That was a CD that, many times you don't remember the first time you actually heard a CD, but I remember the first time I heard a CD. I'm going to tell you all that story beforehand. I'm recording it beforehand because I have to review the CD. I want to go through the CD one song at a time and still haven't. I was going to wait till I was doing some work. So when I was at work, I can hear it one song at a time, and then, I don't know, for some reason at work you can actually feel a CD if you're really into it. I'm watching wrestling off the side, I'm sorry. But I wanted to bring up, I've seen Korn, I think the last time I counted was 14 times. I missed that last time. They were just in New Mexico maybe last summer. I saw them the summer before, whatever they were. I've seen them a year beforehand. I just couldn't make it at the time, and what's been messed up is I'll always be like, I'm going to skip this concert. Like the other day, it's been a month now, I skipped the Dead and Company because we had Avenged Sevenfold tickets, and then Avenged Sevenfold canceled, and there was a whole escapade, and we almost didn't get our money back. We got our money back, and there's the whole thing. So I really need to not hesitate on concerts because you never know if it's the last time. Like, hell yeah, I came through, and I would have been depressed as hell if I would have not went and saw them last time they were in Lubbock. We went and saw them when they were in Lubbock. It was awesome. I was pretty close. I've seen them with Korn, which I could bring up another one, which is at the Family Values Tour. And then I've seen them on another with the Linkin Park tour, and I think it was, what was that even called? But it was weird at the time because Linkin Park was the huger band, so Korn opened up for Linkin Park, which at the time I was just like, that's crazy. But they were just, Linkin Park just farther on the game at that time. You never know if, this one band could be huge one minute, next minute. There's nothing worse in America. They will I told Roxanne the other day, Taylor Swift is a good example of how America will chew you up, use you for all they can, and when they spit you out, they'll throw you out and throw you to the death chamber. But I wanted to bring up a few of the Korn memories. I need to quit getting off on different subjects. But Korn memories, in 1999, the very first time we saw Korn, Rob Zombie, which had a CD that just turned 20 years ago that I'm going to review again on here too, was opening up for him, I believe, a band called Videodrome. I don't know, I have the poster somewhere at my house, or it's in storage. Was opening up. I don't remember nothing from the Videodrome, but I do remember Rob Zombie, just the chaos of the craziness. So I have to tell the Rob Zombie part to just get to the Korn part. So when Rob Zombie came on, a whole bunch of people were like, when Rob Zombie's lights go out, we're going to jump this rail. There's 5 or 10 security guards right here. 20 of y'all are going to jump. 4 or 5 of y'all are going to get busted. And the other people are just going to try to tackle you down. Just run like a motherfucker. So the lights go out. And that second, I lost all my friends. And it's 1999. You don't got no cell phone to be like, hey, what side of the mosh pit are you in? So it was pretty crazy. The lights went out. We just jumped this rail. I remember it was probably, I'm going to say 8 feet. It seemed like 10, but it's more, purely speculation. It seemed like a lot at the time. But we ran up in the mosh pit. And to go to more even in depth in the story, we went with like 5 or 6, maybe even more. I know there was Mike, Dean came with us, I believe, Ryan, Nick, Eric, me, so that's at least 6. And it was a whole escapade on escapades. I could take an hour just talking about that time. I'd slept in my contact the night of the concert, so it made it terrible. The whole way back, my eye was like this, and you see my first few pit videos, I've had eye problems before, which ain't looking terrible bad these days. Hell of a trip. We bought tobacco pipes for the very first time. It was just an adventure beyond adventure beyond adventure. How would a cop not pull over kids sitting? We took out this. I didn't even bring up this whole part. We took a brown van, and we took out the seats out of this van, and then went and put bean bags and this stuff. Some people slept in those bean bags. We took off. My friend's dad had no idea this many kids were just rolling up to his house. And then my friend's sister narked on him and went, woo, gotta get something to drink. I've been taking them Crown Royal shots, and I had some baked Cheetos beforehand. Go watch that review. So my friend's sister narks on us and tells his dad that everybody's coming down there. It's our first big adventure from home where you don't got your parents and you're taking all your friends, or all your friends are going with you. How we didn't get pulled over, how we didn't get shot at, how we lived through this, I'll never know. We showed up. My friend's dad was pissed. He knew what was going on. He acted like he didn't know what was going on. So that was a big, long story. Just going to that concert, I remember the line was like wrapped around this place multiple times. It just looked like an S. And I've never stood in a line that long. In between, when Korn and Rob Zombie was playing, people were throwing drinks and pizzas and whatever you could find that wasn't tied down. They were throwing at the mosh pit, and the people in the mosh pit were throwing stuff at the people in the seats. It was beyond chaos. It was definitely a concert of all concerts. My friends went home trashing Korn because that was the kind of cool thing these days. Oh, I like the opening band a lot better. Korn didn't do that good, Everybody wanted to be Debbie Downer. Ryan was one of them. I remember, who else? I remember Dean would sit there and talk crap about them, and I'd be like, they were your favorite bands a few days ago, but now you're just shitting on them. But, so I can't believe that we made it there, and the whole time, I just remember the places. The first part I watched Rob Zombie from the floor, and the second part I went back thinking that everybody's going to jump the thing again when Korn plays, that I'll just be able to make it back on the floor. Nah, a whole bunch. Everybody that got those seats were, when they saw the people going over there, like, these are good seats, and I get to sit down, because, people be acting old these days at concerts. Even though that was, 19 years ago? Ay, jodido. I think it was June 19th? Maybe 17th, 1999. It's hard to remember those days after the years had gone by. But to start off, first Korn concert I seen, freaking crazy. I don't believe I saw them again till Ozfest, which I keep on writing these things down so I can tell the Ozfest memory. But that was at Ozfest 03, which I guess I'll start with that one since I went from 99 to 03, which I hope that was the next time I saw them. So, Ozfest. We go, and everybody was going crazy for Disturbed. Then Manson came on, and they acted like a scratch in the record. Like, they didn't even act like Marilyn Manson was there. It was awkward. It was our first time seeing Marilyn Manson. He had put out a weird album at the time where he was dressing up like Mickey Mouse and painting himself black and all this weird stuff. So it was an odd time in Marilyn Manson's career, so I'm sure them shitting on him wasn't really that great. But I remember him doing that whole thing. Not too much memories of Korn playing. I remember Korn played after him. I don't remember if they acted as shitty as Manson did, but it was my first time seeing Manson. That's why I was kind of depressed about the whole them shitting on Manson, which I've seen them years down the line. It made up for those ones. But don't remember much of the Korn concert. I wish I could look that up and see. That's what sucks about stuff. I'm going to call it pre-19 or 2008. Not a lot of stuff you can find a lot of stuff. I'm looking to see how our cows are there. They're out in the back part, just walking around. Um, what was I saying about the Korn? Oh, I just brain farted on video. So, Korn was at a weird part of their life. It was '03, so I'm gonna guess Untouchables. Maybe they were touring on something like that. Um, that was a weird time too, because I remember going to that Ozfest and they didn't even know if Ozzy was going to show up because he had got hurt earlier in the time. So, first Ozfest, our second time seeing Korn, second time seeing Manson, probably second time seeing Disturbed. Second time seeing Ozzy, maybe, yeah, somewhere. It's hard to think. Once you get old, when I was a young kid, I could tell you how many times we've seen him and all this stuff, and now it's harder times to say. So, we are gonna go off to. All right. It says this was '04. That seems all right. We're gonna say it's '04. So at Tingley Coliseum, me and Vanessa had went, and I remember Korn came out, and I think Mudvayne opened for him. I think it was Mudvayne opening up at Tingley, and Korn comes out there, and they played 3 or 4 songs. And they just had a black background that looked like they had a short stage. It looked like they didn't bring anything to tour with. And so it just looked like they had brought a black screen and 5 of them out there just jamming. And so maybe it had been 4 of them, because at that time I think Monkey had left or something like that. Or was it Head? It was Head. I think it was Head. It was Head that left. But so they played those 4 songs, and they played like Blind, and they played the 4 classic hits. And then when the new song hits, the black banner just drops, and they got a whole backing band. And I think this is when they had like the Bunnies. So it was on the See You on the Other Side tour. And I remember Fieldy came out, and I always try to get on Fieldy's side. He plays on the stage right, which would be your left if you're on in the crowd. And I always try to get on his side because I love his. How he plays the bass is just fucking nuts. Wrestling off to the side. I'm sorry. I remember he came out in a new outfit like every 3 or 4 songs or something like that. He would just go out and then come back. I had a jersey this time. I got my hair braided this time. I'm like, how the fuck you get your hair braided in 4 minutes or whatever? And he might have had his hair in a do-rag so you couldn't tell, but it was like the Fieldy fashion show is what I'd call it. I just remembered another time seeing Korn in '09. That was Belton, Texas. So I'm going to have a whole thing to tell y'all by the time I get to the end of this. That time was really cool. It was cool seeing Korn with the backing people. They had keyboardists, and then I think they had another drummer, and they had like masks on so you couldn't tell who that is. I think they still had their drummer at that time. Somewhere in this time, they replaced him with, I believe his name is Ray. He's a badass drummer. So that was pretty cool seeing them at Tingley. I think that's the last time I got to see a band at Tingley, and it rocked. Because now I saw Tool in Tingley, and they had everybody sit in seats. And most of the time, all Tingley gets now is wrestling. So, no, it is crazy. There was nothing more that makes your dick hard than it being you're with thousands of people and they're all crammed up and the lights just go out and the craziness of the crowd's going crazy and the music's going off. There's nothing better when they used to hit the lights at Tingley, but now everything's at the Journal Pavilion, so it's not as cool. Let's see. The next one is going to be when I'm talking about when Korn goes to the Journal Pavilion. This was a crazy time. I'm trying to think what else that we had done that day. It was Korn's tour. Evanescence opened up for him, and I remember my girlfriend at the time was a huge Evanescence fan, so she was super happy to see Evanescence. I ate some mushrooms when Evanescence played, so around when Korn came on, they would kick in. Super wild time. I was super, super pissed that they didn't, at that tour, they didn't play Falling Away From Me. I just remember that kind of ruined my high right there, just being like, why didn't they play that one? They always play these, you know, there sucks when you see a band and you know they're going to at least play these 10 songs, and these are, you know, you want to see this plus more, but they don't, you know, you have to change up the songs, you know, everybody don't want to hear the same. But now they would lick ass for how popular they were at the time compared to how popular they are now. We were next to Jeannie and James. I didn't meet him till, you know, multiple years later, maybe 5 or 6 years later. I know someone heard it because one of the dogs looked that way. It was weird to know that you were next to somebody that you'd be their friends years down the line. I remember we were in the lawn, so it's not 100% you get to party and all that, but it was cool. I just remember mostly looking at the stars and then seeing in between the bands. I was super trash, so it was fun times. Let's see, what will be the next one? If that was 2005, don't ever do this when y'all are drinking. YouTube and drinking, y'all. It'll turn bad. The Project Revolution with Linkin Park. That was the one I was telling you that Linkin Park headlined. Korn played a set. Then they kind of, I'll guess they played mostly a co-headlining tour, I guess you could say, is how a nice way. Korn came out and played like 3 songs in the audience at the sound booth, and then went back on stage to do the rest of the thing, which I thought that was really cool. They came out there with like acoustic instruments. We were playing songs off, I believe it was See You on the Other Side at the time. Really cool. Linkin Park, seeing them for the first, no, it wasn't the first, it was the second or third time. But it was still cool. They were the huge band at the time. That's why they headlined over Linkin Park, or the Korn. My ears are going to get messed up on this one, but I'm telling you about all the ones that I can remember on the top of my head. I'm going to be pissed off when I get off of the YouTube, and I'm going to be like, damn it, I didn't bring up this, or I didn't bring up that, and I'm already at 17 minutes, and who would even want to sit through this anyways? But maybe if, 20 years down the line, I'll want to watch this to remember memories that I might not remember them. And will YouTube be around in 20 years? That's a good question. So, I'm just going to go down the list of how they are right here. Me and Roxanne had just met, she came down to Austin to see me. And San Antonio, Disturbed, and Korn were playing. And so we went and saw that. This is the first concert that me and her went to together. We bought floor tickets from somebody on Craigslist, and we got floor tickets, so they were good tickets. I remember a whole bunch of people being super pissed off because Disturbed had canceled, and they just gave, Disturbed was headlining that night, and so they just gave the headlining spot to Korn. A lot of people were pissed off. They were straight telling you, as they scanned your ticket, if you want a refund, we're telling you right now, Disturbed is not playing. If you want a refund, you have to turn around right now. This is your last chance. And we were there to see Korn. So they said Korn was going to play an even longer set. I looked them up on the internet. They played the same exact thing as they did the night beforehand. They didn't do anything special for San Antonio. They didn't, be like, we're partying at the Alamo, which, I'm trying to remember. That was at the Alamo Dome, so I'd seen so many wrestlings on TV there. I thought it was going to be crazy. It was pretty cool. They had it cut in pretty much half, and a lot of the people were pissed off that Disturbed wasn't there. You didn't hear no good talking. Everybody was like, "Oh, I was thinking about trading in my ticket, but I wanted to go see a rock concert, and I'm here to party." So that was interesting. Next one. We'd seen him with Avenged Sevenfold, I believe. This sucks. I caught a Korn pick, but I don't remember now who it was from. I would say Phildy, because I'm always on that side, but I didn't, most bass players don't use their pick. So I don't know if it was from Phildy. that at this time, and we'd seen Korn. Well, I can tell about both instances because I'm probably not going to remember both of them. But we saw Korn and Avenged Sevenfold twice in the same span. One time I'd bought us a seat ticket, so Roxanne got to sit in the seat close when Avenged Sevenfold played, and I sat in the seat when Korn played, and we just sat, the other person sat and with Scott and Becca up in the lawn. And then the other time I bought us both pit tickets, and me and her had a bad day that day. I think it was a mayhem fest, and me and her were fighting all day, and it was just terrible. But every relationship fights, so it's not like nothing. But I just remember, let's see, I remember being down. That's when I caught the pick for Korn, and it was cool. I liked being that close during the Korn part. Roxanne was super pumped about the Avenged Sevenfold being that close, and when they hit their pyro, you can fucking feel it when you're that close. It's pretty cool. Next time I saw, the next time on this list that I'm going to tell you about, I saw Korn with Rob Zombie. I believe Rob Zombie headlined. Was it Korn? Damn. So many concerts, so many years. It gets shots, smoking. It'll mess with your head. You'll start forgetting these stuff. My mom tells me I have the best memory, but until I try to remember stuff, it boggles my mind. But it was awesome seeing Zombie that close, seeing Korn that close again, being that close. I always sit on the fieldy side, so I think that time I might have went a few songs on the Monkey side, Monkey and Head. They kind of back and forth. That was an awesome time. I got a t-shirt, and I remember that one. I wish I could go through all my t-shirts and show you, because I at least have to have probably 6 or 7 Korn from seeing them, if not more. I bought the original one that I told you, that concert from 99. I'm up to 22 minutes now. That one from 99, I had went and bought a t-shirt on eBay back in the day. Family Values Tour, I remember we were low on pot that time. We went and bought this little one-hitter thing so we could smoke, and the wind was blowing like crazy. The wind blew so much that the flyleaves, they had a thing that said their name, and it was flying back and forth, and they had to get them off stage, and people started booing, and then I'm wondering if I'm getting that mixed up with the time I did the mushrooms. That's a good question. That's why it sucks having different girlfriends at this time, because I could have asked them, hey, was this the time of this one, or was this another time? I think there were different ones, because I don't know. I've seen, like I said, most people don't see their favorite bands 4 or 5 times, and I've seen this band 14 times, so they all get stuck together. Let me count: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there's 11. So there's probably 3 or 4 that I'm forgetting in here. That probably awesome times. We probably partied hard, or something crazy happened. It's just blowing my mind right now. That Family Values, I just remember being super, super windy. I'm trying to think who else would have played that day. I might have been Evanescence, right? Marijuana. So the last one that I can remember off the top of my head. Here's another one. I lied. And that was at the fairgrounds. So I got another one to tell you about. So this one was Korn in Belton, Texas. And super weird, super small town. It might not have been small town. It looked like a small town from driving there. I don't know how they got Korn to play that place. It seemed like an old, rundown, probably place that they had wrestling there 900 times back in the day. Again, I think Mudvayne headline. I do have a t-shirt from that. I had just read Fieldy's book a week beforehand, so I was super pumped up about it, and it was pretty cool. I had to drive an hour, which a lot of people were like, dude, Korn comes around all the time. You don't need to drive an hour to go see them. But But when I lived at this house in Austin, I had a stack like this. I'd put the tickets on the wall as according of how I'd go to them, and there'd sometime I'd have 9 tickets of concerts I was about to go to, and I can't even say the last time I went to 9 concerts in a few months, let alone, that was probably 2 or 3 months ahead of time. That was hands down. I'm retarded for. I'm not right in the head for coming back to Clovis because I could see any band I wanted to anytime. But I love Clovis. I can't lie. So this last one I'm gonna tell you about is Korn, and well, they were all Korn, but some terrible band was opening up for them. They played at it was a fairgrounds or what the hell was that place called? They called it some. Ooh, here's another one. Was that? All right, so I can't remember the last one. It was weird. It was a car show. It was a whole bunch of, not Korn fan people. And if you bought a ticket to this car show, you automatically got to see Korn. So I don't know how they were getting paid good money because they're, not hugely successful at the time, but on their way down, but still making bank. It was a debacle. It was the weirdest thing seeing people, no mosh pits. I don't even know what the people that were there, and this sounds messed up, but I'm in Texas. A lot of the people weren't speaking English. So I didn't know how they were going to, I've seen concerts from people in different countries and they're going nuts. But these people, this wasn't the crowd for Korn. It was cool seeing them. I remember I went and hung out with Nicole one of the first times at her house that night, and it was just a debacle. I wish I could remember who opened them for him, because I remember it was a big band at the time, but just being like, why would these two bands be even playing together? So I'm at 27 minutes, so I'm just going to end up making this one video, and then the next video being another one, or I don't know what I'm doing. If I get a hold of this thing, I might do this now. These are the good Korn memories. Sometimes people don't get to see their favorite band this many times. Go see music if it's out there to see, because you never know, like the Vinnie Paul situation, if that's the last time you can see that band. So always go see some band if you're, if you're able to. We have to drive sometimes 4 hours to go see one of our favorite bands. So some people, 4 hours, they wouldn't even do that for their family, let alone, So go out and see some music. Y'all party hard for this Tuesday and have a great day. Korn memories.